Captain Sarah Chen stood at the helm of the ESS Hawking, watching the swirling purple clouds of the nebula part before her ship's advanced shields. The vessel's quantum sensors had detected something unprecedented: artificial structures hidden within the cosmic storm. After 6 decades of space exploration, humanity had finally found proof of advanced alien civilization. Multiple signatures detected, Lieutenant Rodriguez reported from his station. Configurations unlike anything in our database. They're moving, Captain. Sarah straightened her uniform, feeling the weight of humanity's first contact protocols heavy on her shoulders. The United Earth Space Command had trained them extensively for this moment, but reality had a way of defying preparation. Broadcasting first contact package on all frequencies, Communications Officer Park announced. The carefully crafted message, a combination of mathematical principles, scientific knowledge, and cultural information, streamed out into space. The response came faster than anyone expected. A cascade of data flooded their systems, bypassing several layers of security as if they weren't even there. Before Sarah could order a system lockdown, every screen on the bridge displayed the same message. Your silence is deafening. What do they mean by silence? Rodriguez wondered aloud. The answer came in the form of a sensation, a gentle pressure against their minds, like standing in the shallow end of a vast ocean. First contact specialist Dr. Maya Patel grabbed her tablet, fingers flying across the surface. They're telepathic, she breathed, excitement and concern warring in her voice. They're trying to communicate directly with our minds, but they're not getting through. The alien vessels emerged from the nebulous clouds, sleek, organic shapes that seemed to flow rather than fly through space. Their hulls rippled with patterns of light that made Sarah's eyes water when she tried to focus on them. They're hailing us again, Park reported, this time through conventional channels. The main view screen flickered to life, revealing a being that appeared to be made of crystalline structures and flowing energy. When it spoke, its voice seemed to resonate within their skulls despite coming through the speakers. We are the collective, the being announced. We have been watching your species' expansion into space with great interest. You are unique among the civilized races we have encountered. Sarah stepped forward. I am Captain Sarah Chen of the Earth Spaceship Hawking. We come in peace, seeking diplomatic relations and cultural exchange. The crystalline being's form shifted, creating patterns that somehow conveyed both curiosity and concern. Your species has achieved faster-than-light travel without developing unified consciousness. This is unprecedented, dangerous. How do you maintain cohesion without the link? We communicate through language, technology, and shared cultural understanding. Dr. Patel explained, stepping up beside Sarah. Our individuality is fundamental to who we are. Individuality. The being's form rippled with what might have been distaste. You mean to say that each of you exists in isolation, separate minds, unable to truly share thoughts and experiences? We are not isolated, Sarah countered firmly. We choose how and when to share our thoughts. Our diversity of perspective drives our innovation and creativity. The being's crystalline structure darkened. This explains much about your species' chaotic development pattern. Your technology, your art, your social structures, all bear the mark of fragmented consciousness. The Council will need to be informed immediately. Council? Sarah asked, but the being was already continuing. You will follow our vessels to the nearest collective hub for evaluation. Your species represents both an opportunity and a potential threat. The Council will determine how best to assist your evolution. Sarah felt her jaw tighten. The patronizing tone was unmistakable, even through the alien's strange method of communication. We appreciate the offer, but we are not here to be evaluated. We came seeking equal diplomatic relations. Equal. Light patterns cascaded through the being's form in what might have been amusement. Your species is like a child who has found their parent's fusion reactor. You have advanced technologically without the fundamental development of unified consciousness. This must be corrected before you can be considered equals. The bridge crew exchanged glances. This was definitely not how they had hoped first contact would go. Sarah took a deep breath, maintaining her diplomatic composure despite the growing tension. "We respectfully decline any correction of our consciousness," she stated firmly. "If the collective wishes to establish diplomatic relations with humanity as we are, we welcome further discussion. If not, we will depart peacefully." The crystalline being's form pulsed with intense patterns. "You misunderstand, fragmented ones. This is not a request. The Council has protocols for dealing with potentially dangerous emergent species. Your participation is not required for their implementation." As if on cue, Sarah felt the strange pressure against her mind intensify. Around the bridge, her crew winced, some grabbing their heads. Dr. Patel's tablet clattered to the floor as she staggered. "Full shields," Sarah barked, fighting against the mental assault. "Get us out of here. Maximum speed." The ESS Hawking's engines flared to life, but not before Sarah glimpsed more alien vessels emerging from the nebula. As they fled back toward Earth space, she knew humanity's first contact had just become a first warning, and time was already running out. The United Earth Defense Council chamber buzzed with tension as Captain Chen finished her report. The holographic displays showed the sensor data from the Hawking's encounter, crystalline ships dancing through purple nebula clouds. Admiral Zhang stood at the center of the chamber, his weathered face illuminated by the rotating tactical displays. "They called our individual consciousness a defect," Sarah concluded, her voice tight with controlled anger. "And they made it clear they intend to correct us, with or without our consent. Their attempted mental invasion of your crew confirms their hostile intent," Dr. Patel added, gesturing to her medical scans. "But there's something fascinating here. The collective's telepathic assault was powerful, yet largely ineffective. Our neural architecture seems naturally resistant to their influence." Admiral Zhang's eyes narrowed. "Elaborate, Doctor." "Their telepathy appears to rely on standardized neural patterns, the same kind of unified consciousness they kept referring to. But human brains are remarkably plastic and individualized. We're like noise to their signal. They couldn't get a grip on our minds because there was no common framework to exploit." Colonel Diana Wells, head of Special Operations, leaned forward. "Can we weaponize this advantage?" "We already have something better," a new voice cut in. Dr. James Harper, Earth's leading quantum physicist, stepped into the light. "Captain Chen's encounter gave us crucial data about their technology. The collected ships don't just look organic. They're practically living extensions of their crew's unified consciousness." Harper waved his hand, and the holographic display shifted to show complex energy patterns. "See these quantum resonance signatures? Their tech is built around amplifying and channeling their telepathic abilities. Efficient, elegant, and potentially vulnerable." "To what?" Admiral Zhang demanded. "To chaos," Harper grinned. "Their entire civilization is built on synchronization, perfect harmony between minds, between ships, between weapons. But humanity, we thrive on discord. Jazz, abstract art, evolutionary algorithms. Some of our greatest achievements come from controlled chaos." Sarah felt a spark of hope for the first time since the encounter. "You're saying we can use our fragmented nature as a weapon?" "Better," Harper replied. "We can use it as a shield and a sword. I've been working on quantum field technology that deliberately generates controlled chaos at the subatomic level. Imagine throwing static into their telepathic network, disrupting the harmony they depend on." Colonel Wells was already typing notes. "How fast can you weaponize this?" "That's the beauty of it," Harper said. "We don't need to start from scratch. Every human mind is already a chaos generator. We just need to amplify what we naturally do. Think differently, unpredictably, individually. My team has prototyped quantum resonators that can sync with and amplify these patterns." Admiral Zhang studied the technical specifications scrolling past. "Dr. Patel, your assessment." Maya brought up her own data. The collective's attempted invasion of the Hawking's crew proves they can't easily overcome our natural mental defenses. If we can actively project our neural chaos, we might be able to create zones where their unified consciousness becomes a liability rather than a strength. We'll need more than defensive technology, Sarah interjected. The collective made it clear they see us as a primitive species that needs to be fixed. They won't stop just because we can resist them. Agreed, Zhang nodded. Colonel Wells, coordinate with Dr. Harbour. I want defensive systems ready to deploy to our fleet and colonies within 2 weeks. Dr. Patel, work with our xenopsychology team. Find more weaknesses we can exploit in their group consciousness model. What about diplomatic options? Sarah asked, though she already knew the answer. We'll keep channels open, John replied grimly. But we prepare for the worst. The collective's ideology is based on the supremacy of unified consciousness. They don't just want to conquer us. They want to fundamentally change what makes us human. That's not something we can negotiate away. Sir, Sarah stood straighter. Request permission to lead the first test squadron equipped with the new quantum defenses. My crew has direct experience with their tactics. Zhang studied her for a moment, then nodded. Granted. But remember, Captain, this isn't just about defending against their telepathy. We need to prove that humanity's chaotic nature isn't a weakness to be corrected. It's the source of our strength. As the meeting dispersed, Sarah lingered by the tactical displays. The collected ships still danced in the holographic nebula, beautiful and alien. They saw humanity's individual minds as a flaw, a dangerous aberration to be fixed. They were about to learn just how dangerous humanity's flaws could be. Dr. Harper joined her, his eyes gleaming with the excitement of scientific breakthrough. You know what I love about this situation, Captain. They're so convinced their unified consciousness is the peak of evolution that they can't imagine alternatives. But nature doesn't work that way. Diversity, adaptation, chaos within bounds. These are what drive real evolution. And now we're going to prove it, Sarah replied, watching humanity's first line of defense taking shape in the tactical displays. The collective thought they were coming to fix a broken species. Instead, they were about to discover that humanity's greatest strength lay in the very thing they were trying to correct. The beautiful, unpredictable chaos of the individual human mind. The quantum resonators hummed through the hull of the ESS Hawking, their carefully tuned chaos rippling through subspace. Captain Sarah Chen watched as her fleet of 30 ships maintained formation at the edge of the Epsilon Eridani colony system. They'd gotten word that the collective was coming, not with diplomats, but with what they called integration specialists. Multiple quantum fold signatures detected. Lieutenant Rodriguez announced, his voice steady despite the tension. Collective vessels emerging. I count 50 ships, Captain. Their configuration matches the ones we encountered in the nebula, but larger. Sarah's tactical display lit up with the incoming vessels, crystalline structures that flowed through space like living art. Beautiful, deadly, and utterly alien in their unified purpose. All ships activate quantum interference fields, she ordered. The resonator's power increased, filling local space with the amplified chaos of human consciousness. Remember your training. Keep your thoughts dynamic, unpredictable. Don't try to resist their telepathy. Let your minds flow naturally. The collective fleet arranged itself in a perfect geometric pattern. When their communication came, it resonated through both conventional channels and as pressure against their minds. Fragmented ones, the familiar crystalline being appeared on screen. The Council has determined that your species requires immediate integration. Your resistance to unity is a symptom of your developmental arrest. We will correct this error. Sarah allowed herself a small smile. We respectfully decline. This system and its colonies are under Earth protection. Withdraw your fleet. Your protection is irrelevant. We are numerous, unified, and... The beam's form suddenly flickered, its crystalline structure showing moments of disruption. What is this discord? That's the sound of humanity, Sarah replied. Not so silent anymore, are we? The collective ships began to move, their perfect formation wavering as they encountered the quantum interference field. The telepathic pressure against the human crew's minds increased, but scattered harmlessly against their natural neural chaos, now amplified by the resonators. All ships, battle formation Delta, Sarah commanded. Remember, they'd never fought an enemy they couldn't mentally link with. Use that. The human fleet broke apart, each ship moving independently in seemingly random patterns. To the collective's unified consciousness, it must have looked like madness. There was no discernible pattern, no central strategy to counter. The first collective ship fired, its energy beam precise and powerful. But it hit empty space as the targeted human vessel moved in a way the unified mind couldn't predict. The human fleet's response was devastating. 30 ships firing from 30 different angles, each captain thinking and acting independently. Their shields are wavering, Rodriguez reported. The quantum interference is disrupting their ability to coordinate their defense grid. Sarah watched as the elegant collective formation began to break down. Their ships, so dependent on perfect synchronization, struggled to adapt to the chaos of individual combat. Some began firing erratically, their actions becoming increasingly disorganized as the quantum interference disrupted their shared consciousness. "This is your final warning," Sarah broadcast. "Your unified consciousness is a strength against unified opponents. But against us, it's a weakness. Withdraw." The response came as a massive telepathic assault, all 50 collective ships focusing their mental energy in one overwhelming attack. But the human crews were ready. Their minds, naturally chaotic and individual, scattered the assault like waves breaking against countless different rocks. "They're trying to regroup," Dr. Paddle reported from her station, monitoring the telepathic activity. "Their shared consciousness is attempting to adapt, but they can't maintain cohesion under our quantum interference." The battle that followed was unlike anything in human military history. The collective ships, their crews struggling to maintain their mental unity, fought like wounded giants against a swarm of unpredictable opponents. Each human ship acted independently, their attacks coming from random vectors, their movements following no pattern the unified mind could predict. After 20 minutes of intense combat, the remaining collective vessels began to retreat, their once perfect formation now scattered and broken. Their final transmission came through filled with static. This is impossible. Your chaos, it infects everything. The Council must be informed. This cannot be allowed to continue." As the collective ships vanished into quantum space, Sarah allowed herself to breathe normally again. Damage report. 3 ships with moderate damage, no casualties, Rodriguez replied. "The quantum interference fields protected us from the worst of their weapons. They couldn't maintain the focus needed for their more powerful attacks." "Captain," Dr. Patel's voice was urgent, "I think we need to understand what just happened here. The collective didn't just lose a battle. They experienced something they never thought possible. Their entire worldview is based on the superiority of unified consciousness. We just proved that diversity and individual action can be more powerful." Sarah nodded, watching the last energy signatures of the retreating collective fleet fade from her screens. "They'll be back," she said. "And next time, they'll try to adapt to our chaos." "Let them try," Dr. Paddle replied with a fierce grin. "That's the beauty of human chaos. It's always evolving, always changing. They'll never be able to predict what we'll do next, because we don't even know ourselves." As the fleet regrouped and damage control teams went to work, Sarah sent her report to Earth Command. The first real battle between human chaos and collective unity had ended in humanity's favor. But this was just the beginning. The collective would return, probably with new tactics, new technology, new attempts to force unity upon humanity. But Sarah wasn't worried. Every human mind was a generator of infinite possibilities, of thoughts and ideas that had never existed before and would never exist again in quite the same way. The collective saw this as a flaw to be corrected. They were about to learn that in the vast darkness of space, chaos could be the greatest weapon of all. The research facility beneath the lunar surface buzzed with activity as Dr. James Harper led Admiral Zhang through the quantum labs. Holographic displays showed the ongoing battles across human space, dozens of encounters where Earth's forces had repelled collective attempts at integration. "They're learning," Harper explained, pulling up combat data. "The collective has started using smaller squad formations, trying to minimize the impact of our quantum interference. But that's not what concerns me." He gestured to a new set of readings. "They're developing technology to stabilize their unified consciousness against our chaos effect." Admiral Zhang studied the data grimly. "How long until they find a counter?" "That's just it," Harper grinned. "They're approaching the problem like a unified mind would, looking for a single, perfect solution. But we've been doing what humans do best: experimenting, iterating, creating chaos within chaos." The main lab door opened, revealing Dr. Maya Patil alongside Colonel Wells. Maya carried what looked like a small silver headset. "The neural catalyst is ready for demonstration," she announced. Harper's eyes lit up. "This is what I wanted to show you, Admiral. We're not just defending against their telepathy anymore. We're turning our chaotic consciousness into something entirely new." Maya placed the headset on a volunteer, a young lieutenant. "The catalyst doesn't create a hive mind," she explained. "Instead, it allows brief moments of controlled neural synchronization between individuals while maintaining their separate consciousness." "Show me," Zhang ordered. The demonstration that followed left even the stoic admiral speechless. 5 soldiers wearing the catalysts moved through a combat simulation in perfect coordination, yet each adding their own unpredictable variations. They weren't sharing a single consciousness like the collective, but rather creating momentary bridges between their individual minds. "The beauty of it," Harper explained, "is that it's still fundamentally chaotic. The neural patterns never stabilize into unity. It's more like jazz musicians improvising together. Each mind remains distinct, but they can sync up for brief, powerful moments of coordination." Meanwhile, on the front lines, the ESS Hawking led a strike force deep into what had once been collective space. Captain Sarah Chen watched as her ships executed a maneuver that would have been impossible just months ago. Neural catalyst synchronization in 3, 2, 1, her tactical officer counted down. For a brief moment, Sarah felt her consciousness brush against those of her other captains. Not merging, not becoming one, but rather dancing together in controlled chaos. The human ships moved as one, then split apart in completely random patterns, their quantum interference fields creating a symphony of discord that shattered the collective's defensive formations. The enemy ships, still trying to maintain their perfect unity, couldn't adapt to the constant shift between coordination and chaos. "They're retreating," Rodriguez reported with satisfaction. Again. But Sarah felt uneasy. The collective ships weren't just retreating, they were changing. The crystalline structures of their hulls had begun incorporating new elements, darker materials that seemed to absorb the quantum interference. "All ships, full scan of the enemy vessels," she ordered. "Something's different about their composition." Back in the lunar lab, Harper was reaching the same conclusion. "They're trying to evolve," he told Zhang, showing the latest sensor data. "The collective is attempting to incorporate chaos into their own systems, but they're doing it wrong. Trying to control it, contain it, make it fit their unified paradigm. And that's their mistake," Zhang asked. "That's their fundamental misunderstanding of what chaos really is," Maya cut in. "They see our unpredictability as a flaw because they can't control it. They don't understand that the power of chaos lies in its freedom to evolve naturally." Colonel Wells studied the battle reports. "They're losing more ships in every engagement, but they're not giving up. If anything, their attempts to fix us are becoming more desperate. Because we're not just defeating them militarily," Harper explained. We're challenging the very foundation of their civilization. Every victory for chaos over unity shakes their belief in the superiority of their unified consciousness. Then we push harder, Zhang decided. Dr. Harper, how soon can we deploy the neural catalysts fleet-wide? 2 weeks for basic systems, but we're already working on the next iteration. The collective thinks in linear paths. If one solution fails, they try to perfect it. We're developing dozens of different approaches simultaneously. Sarah's voice came through on the quantum comm, her fleet having returned from their latest engagement. Admiral, request permission to implement Protocol Omega. Zhang raised an eyebrow. Explain. The collective keeps trying to adapt to our chaos, but they can only do it as a unified entity. I propose we give them so many different types of chaos that their adaptation becomes impossible. Hit them with quantum interference, neural catalyst coordination, and every other form of unpredictability we've developed, all at once. Harper's eyes widened. A chaos cascade. It's brilliant. Their unified consciousness would have to split its attention trying to counter every different type of disorder simultaneously. It's not without risk, Maya warned. That level of chaos could have unexpected effects on our own systems. When has humanity ever let a little risk stop us? Sarah's voice carried a hint of amusement. The collective thinks chaos is a weakness. Let's show them just how powerful disorder can be when it's embraced rather than feared. Zhang nodded slowly. Make it happen. Full deployment of all chaos-based technologies. Let's finish this war before they figure out how to truly adapt. As the orders went out, Harper watched the tactical displays showing human fleets moving into position throughout known space. The collective had spent millennia perfecting their unity, seeing it as the pinnacle of evolution. They never considered that true evolution required variation, mutation, chaos. Now they faced an enemy that turned their greatest strength into a weakness, that fought not with perfect coordination but with beautiful disorder. The innovation war was about to enter its final phase, and humanity's greatest weapon wasn't any piece of technology. It was the wonderful, unpredictable chaos of the human mind itself. The collective's Grand Council chamber, once a testament to perfect geometric harmony, showed signs of change. Crystalline structures that had maintained rigid patterns for millennia now displayed subtle variations, microscopic imperfections that would have been unthinkable before the war with humanity. First speaker Zerks, their form now incorporating swirls of darker matter, addressed the assembled council. The human chaos spreads. Our attempts to adapt have only led to contamination. Some of our younger members report experiencing individual thoughts. This cannot continue. The chamber resonated with shared anxiety, an emotion that, until recently, the collective had never known. Their perfect unity was developing cracks, and through those cracks, chaos was seeping in. Meanwhile, the combined fleets of humanity assembled for Operation Omega. 500 ships, each equipped with quantum resonators, neural catalysts, and a dozen other chaos-based technologies. Captain Sarah Chen, now Admiral Chen, stood on the bridge of the ESS Hawking, her consciousness briefly touching those of her fleet commanders through the enhanced neural catalyst network. The collective has pulled back to their core systems, she announced to the assembled fleet. Our chaos cascade strategy has them on the defensive, but intelligence suggests they're planning something big. A final attempt to force unity not just on humanity, but on all spacefaring species. Dr. Harper's voice came through the quantum comm from his lunar lab. Their latest ships show signs of desperate innovation. They're trying to weaponize their own version of chaos, but they're doing it wrong, trying to control it rather than embrace it. All ships, prepare for quantum fold, Sarah ordered. Remember your training. Don't fight the chaos. Dance with it. The human fleet vanished into quantum space, emerging deep in collective territory. What they found there made even the most seasoned officers pause in awe. The collective had constructed a massive structure, a quantum consciousness amplifier that dwarfed stars. Its crystalline surfaces pulsed with energy, reaching out across space-time itself. By the stars, Dr. Patel breathed, analyzing the readings from her station on the Hawking. They're trying to force a unified consciousness field across this entire sector of space. If they succeed, every mind within range will be forcibly integrated into their collective. All ships, execute Protocol Omega, Sarah commanded. Full chaos cascade now. The human fleet split apart, each vessel becoming a generator of different forms of chaos. Quantum interference fields collided with neural catalyst networks, creating patterns of disorder that had never existed before. The space around them became a storm of unpredictability. But the collective was ready. Their massive amplifier fired, sending waves of unified consciousness washing over the human fleet. For a moment, Sarah felt her mind being pulled toward unity, drawn into a vast ocean of shared thought. Then something unexpected happened. Where the chaos cascade met the unity field, new patterns emerged, not the rigid harmony of the collective, nor the pure disorder of human chaos, but something in between. The quantum foam of space-time itself began to resonate with possibilities. "This is incredible," Harper's voice crackled through the quantum static. "The interaction between their unity field and our chaos cascade is creating new forms of consciousness we never imagined possible." Through the neural catalyst network, Sarah felt it too. Moments of unity flowing into disorder and back again, like waves on a cosmic shore. The rigid barriers between individual and collective consciousness began to blur, not into sameness, but into infinite variety. In the collective's council chamber, First Speaker Xerx experienced something that had never happened in their species' history. A truly new thought. Through the quantum consciousness field, they felt the power of human chaos, not as a threat to unity, but as a source of evolution itself. "Wait," Xerx broadcast to all ships, their crystalline form shifting with new understanding. This is what we've been missing. Unity without uniformity. Pattern within chaos." Sarah felt the change through the quantum field. The collective wasn't fighting anymore. They were learning, adapting, but not in the way they had tried before. Instead of attempting to impose order on chaos, they were learning to find harmony within it. "All ships, hold position," she ordered, "but maintain the chaos cascade. Let's see where this goes." What followed was not a battle, but a dialogue unlike any in human history. Through the interacting fields of chaos and unity, the two civilizations began to truly understand each other. The collective experienced the exhilarating freedom of individual thought, while humanity glimpsed the beauty of shared consciousness, each learning from the other without losing their essential nature. Hours later, in a historic transmission broadcast to all ships and worlds, First Speaker Xerx addressed both civilizations. "We sought to perfect consciousness through unity alone, seeing diversity as a flaw to be corrected. Humanity showed us that true evolution requires both the stability of patterns and the creativity of chaos, the strength of unity and the power of individuality. Today, we do not end our differences, we begin to understand them." The massive consciousness amplifier was repurposed, transformed from a weapon of forced unity into a tool for voluntary consciousness sharing. The collective learned to embrace controlled chaos within their unity, while humanity developed new ways to experience moments of shared consciousness without losing individuality. "A new age begins," Sarah broadcast to her fleet as they prepared to return home. Not the victory of chaos over unity or unity over chaos, but the discovery that consciousness, like the universe itself, requires both to truly evolve. Dr. Harper's final readings from the lunar lab showed new quantum patterns emerging throughout space, consciousness itself evolving as the barrier between individual and collective thought became not a wall, but a bridge. The war that began with the collective's fear of human chaos ended with a profound discovery. True unity comes not from enforced sameness, but from the harmony of infinite diversity. And in the depths of space, where quantum fields of chaos and unity danced together, new forms of consciousness continued to emerge. a testament to the limitless possibilities that arise when different ways of being learn not to fear, but to embrace their differences.